We've all done it, right? You're scrolling, and there it is. Some headline, just so bizarre or vague. Your rational brain is yelling, no, don't click. But somehow your finger just goes rogue. You click, you maybe skim, and you get, well, pretty much nothing useful. So today we are doing a deep dive, not really into the clickbait itself, but into these two incredibly academic and honestly kind of hilarious papers that try to dissect the architecture of it all.
Yeah, it's quite a mission they set themselves. And these sources, they're really theoretical. The language they use, it feels deliberately heavy, almost like a parody sometimes. They didn't just, the study clickbait. They built this whole jargon-filled universe to describe it. They call it the ontogenetic exploration of these headlines.
Right, ontogenetic exploration.
So our job here really is to sort of decode all this academic speak. The goal is that you walk away understanding the mechanics of how you got lured in without needing like a PhD in made-up terminology.
Exactly. And these papers, they don't mince words. They jump right in with this core idea. The whole clickbait world, especially thinking about, say, YouTube, they call it kanmukuri.
A kanmukuri,
Like a big conspiracy of nothingness. That's their phrase. And it's all built on what they term pseudo-paradoxicalisms.
Which basically means things that sound like contradictions or deep puzzles, but are actually just empty. Nonsense designed to look profound.
It's this whole system promising insight, but, engineered to deliver confusion.
And if you zoom out to the bigger picture they're painting, maybe hysterically, maybe not, their whole goal is figuring out the essence.
The essence, the essential nature.
Yeah, the fundamental whatness of a digital thing whose entire purpose is to lack substance. They're essentially trying to find the truth inside something designed from the ground up to be a flashy lie.
Which takes us straight into how they even tried to do this, the methodology. And this is where I think the academic satire really shines. It's like they're applying, quantum physics to analyzing top 10 lists.
Right. They needed a way to get past the surface noise, the emotional pull. So they described this super specialized piece of equipment, the multicoroid.
Okay.
Apparently it has things like a quadruple interferometer and a chiral goniometer.
Wow. Sounds impressive and probably fictional.
Almost certainly. But the key thing is the process it supposedly performs. They called it kerfufflemetria.
Kerfufflemetria. I mean, you gotta love the word. But the idea behind it, even if the name's silly, is actually kind of useful, isn't it?
It is. The goal is to separate the headline's semantic nuclei, the tiny bit of actual meaning, if any, from all the effective peripheral matter.
The emotional fluff, the stuff designed purely to hook you.
Exactly. They're aiming for what they call a transcendental purification, trying to see the bait's real structure before anyone even clicks on it.
Okay, so they're analyzing the headline itself. But then they needed to measure the user's reaction, right? Specifically that click you make almost without thinking.
Yes, what they call perfunctory interaction, that click that's just empty, no real intent behind it, just a reaction.
So if the click is perfunctory, how do they measure my unavoidable tendency to make that click?
Well, they talk about collecting the raw data, the Gunguslerfardel, another great term.
Gunguslerfardel, okay.
But the really interesting metric they derive from that is something called nascent nescence.
Nascent nescence. Latent ignorance.
Pretty much. It's meant to be the quantified potential for a user's tendency towards that empty clicking. They get really elaborate, saying it's derived from epigenetic and interabiotic data.
Nah, so complex stuff.
Yeah, but basically, they're trying to measure how likely you are to click on junk before you even see the specific headline. It's like measuring your baseline susceptibility to digital distraction.
Okay, that feels a little invasive.
Yeah.
And the experiment itself sounds pretty intense.
Oh, yeah. Subjects apparently wore a transcranial electroencephalography apparatus, basically a fancy brainwave cap. And then they were exposed to this constant stream of, clickbait. An echorismic artifice is what they called the stimulus environment, just waves of this tempting nonsense.
A pro forma psychotropic artifice.
Yeah.
They were really measuring the brain's reaction to being bombarded with this stuff.
Exactly. The cognitive load, the mental friction it creates. And this leads into what they found about the psychological effects, the mechanisms at play.
So what did the multicoroid and the brain caps reveal?
They found that clickbait triggers this specific kind of mental state.
Yeah.
A sort of aimless, pointless combativeness. They termed it peripatetic pugnacity.
Peripatetic pugnacity.
Yeah.
Wandering aggression.
Yeah, but wandering and also insoucianceful and jejune?
Meaning Careless and childish, but still somehow aggressive.
Exactly. It's a weird mix. They looked at headlines like, you'll never guess what this sodden iguana did next.
Classic.
And they argue that this kind of headline acts as a hallucino-circuitous transformer.
A hallucino-circuitous transformer. Okay, break that down.
It takes your natural, perfectly normal desire to learn something new, and it twists it. It transforms it into what they describe as an inarticulate and rancorous gawkymentary.
So you start out curious, wanting knowledge.
And you end up just kind of staring blankly at something useless, feeling vaguely irritated afterwards. You're not learning, you're just gawking, maybe a little mad about it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
But the really core psychological idea they came up with, this feels important for anyone online today. They called it xenophobia fardal.
Yes. This is like the key insight, I think, xenophobia. That's basically your FOMO, right? The fear of missing out. The headline weaponizes that fear. It creates this cognitive fardal, which means like a burden, a weight, an anxiety.
Okay.
And your brain feels this sudden, artificially created pressure. And the only way to relieve it, to get rid of that fardal, is to click the link.
Wait, hold on. So they're saying we click, not because we're genuinely interested, but to get rid of an anxiety that the headline itself just dumped on us.
That's the argument. It's incredibly cynical when you think about it.
Yeah, it really is.
The headline isn't selling you information or even entertainment. It's selling you relief from an anxiety it just manufactured in your own head.
Wow. Okay. That explains a lot, actually.
Yeah.
So shifting gears a bit from the psychological load to like the words themselves.
Yeah.
The language. They analyze that too, right?
Oh, absolutely. They argue that clickbait language operates as a kind of kakistocracy.
Kakistocracy. Rule by the worst.
Exactly. A kakistocracy of semantic malapropisms, using words incorrectly or nonsensically. They found that the most prosacious words.
Prosacious, meaning bland, ordinary.
Yeah, basically the dullest, most common words are somehow given the most weight, the most authority in these headlines.
Right.
Counterintuitive. And here's a fun little detail. They claim to observe a link between the number of octothorpes, or, hashtags, the pound sign.
Right, hashtags.
And the user's level of liminality, like how close they are to the edge of conscious awareness or decision-making. They gave this phenomenon a name too, of course. Flaschenzern.
Flochi.non.cern. So more hashtags equals more pointless worry, more trivial concern hovering just below awareness.
Apparently so. It kind of tracks with the feeling you get scrolling through some feeds, doesn't it?
It really does. Okay, so they use this whole elaborate framework, the multi-charade, kerfophometria, xenophobia, fardal, all of it, to actually analyze specific types of clickbait, right? They gave examples.
Yes, they broke it down. For instance, celebrity headlines. They said these often exhibit transvaletudinarianism.
Transvaletudinarianism. Okay, what's that? Sounds like someone who's overly concerned with health, but transformed.
Sort of. It means the celebrity's ipseity, their actual self, their unique identity, gets turned into a reified commodity, just an object, a thing to be traded for clicks.
Ah, I see. And they had that amazing example. The shocking, tosticated humgruffiancy of Llama, the celebrity chef.
Exactly. The poor llama chef is just a simulacrum, a placeholder image whose only job is to trigger that xenophobia fardal, that anxiety click response. It has nothing to do with the actual llama.
Right. Then there were the how-to videos. Everyone's seen those.
They said these use a Mukadian heuristic.
Mukadian. Like related to a mook, a fool.
Precisely. It promises a simple, easy, parsimonious solution to your problem. But what does the video actually give you?
Usually, yeah, it's like a labyrinthine process full of superfluous details that waste your time.
That's what they call a perfunctory pythiobris, a shallow, quick-hit idea that's ultimately useless or overly complicated. Promises efficiency, delivers a confusing mess.
Okay. And the last big category they tackled in this analysis part, the listicle. 10 reasons why, 7 things you.
Ah, yes, the listicle, the bedrock of so much online content. They define this format as a batrachomiamiki.
A batrachomiamiki, that sounds intense.
It means a battle between frogs and mice. Basically a trivial, pointless, but maybe long-winded conflict or argument.
So you click on 10 jaw-dropping facts about cows you won't believe, expecting some amazing revelation.
Right. You're hoping for order, for clarity, for surprise. But what you usually get, according to the paper, is just a farrago of commonplaces and misconceptions.
A jumbled mess of stuff you already knew or things that aren't even true. It promises to cut through the noise, but just adds more.
Exactly. It pretends to organize information, but ultimately just contributes to the digital clutter.
Okay, so that analysis of existing types, That sets us up perfectly for the second paper they discussed, doesn't it? Where they move from just analyzing to basically providing a blueprint for how to create this stuff.
Yes, the taxonomy of pseudo-fictional praxis. Praxis meaning like the practical application of a theory.
A taxonomy, so a classification system for making fake stuff that works.
Pretty much. They lay out 4 distinct categories, and the core idea is that each category is designed to target and exploit a specific, latent user predilection, a hidden tendency or desire you might have.
This is where it gets really tactical. Okay, category I.
Category of is the how-to titular documentary. So it uses the how-to format, but the goal isn't really utility. It appeals to your aspiration, your desire for self-improvement. But the utility it offers is always a pseudo-fiction. It's something fundamentally impossible or nonsensical. It can't actually be fulfilled.
Gotcha. And they had some brilliant examples here. The first one was how to exculpate a goblin.
Right. Who does that appeal to? Probably someone who fancies themselves an intellectual.
Yeah, using a fancy legal word like exculpate to clear of blame next to a mythical creature.
It signals this like secret high-level knowledge that's completely useless in the real world. You click because it makes you feel maybe a little bit smarter or more in the know than the average person scrolling past.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And the second example in this category, how to nurture your inner mellifluous. That felt different, more subtle.
Yeah, they call that one a psychotropic artifice. Mellifluous meaning sweet-sounding or smooth-flowing.
So nurturing your inner smoothness.
It's kind of subversive, actually. It seems to grant you permission to be idle, to relax. By telling you to nurture this vague, pleasant inner quality, it subtly pushes back against, all that hustle culture pressure.
So you click not really to learn how, but to feel justified in not doing much? To embrace the mellifluousness.
Exactly. It's giving you an excuse disguised as self-help.
Clever. Okay, category 2. This one was what you don't know about incongruous conflation.
Right. This one plays on mystery and absurdity. The trick is to mash together 2 completely unrelated, disparate things.
Creating confusion that you want to resolve.
Precisely. It creates what they call a pseudo-paradoxicalization of the mundane. It makes ordinary things seem weirdly connected and mysterious just by pairing them unexpectedly.
And the example for this was perfect. What you don't know about the pragmatical insouciance of a llama and a robot.
I mean, pragmatical insouciance of a llama and a robot. It's nonsense.
Pure wonderful nonsense.
They call this kind of construction a perfumatic jargoogle, a sort of witty, nonsensical puzzle designed for people who see themselves as quirky, maybe erudite. You click because you want to feel like you get the weird joke or that there's some hidden depth in the absurdity.
Right, trying to find meaning where none exists. Just because the combination is so odd. Okay, category 3. This one felt particularly tricky. How to achieve something pseudo-paradoxicalization.
Yeah, this one is about subversion, appealing to maybe a contrarian streak. The key here is that the goal stated in the headline is actually something negative, undesirable, or logically impossible to achieve through effort.
So it trapped you in a contradiction from the start.
Totally. The title itself is the trap, their example. How to avoid pseudo-paradoxicalizations.
If you click on that, the title itself is a pseudo-paradoxicalization. You're already caught.
Exactly. You're stuck in the loop just by engaging. They call this a teleological ignominy, basically, a purposeful deception about the end goal. Or think about a title like How to Achieve Insouciance.
Insouciance meaning like total carelessness, apathy.
Right. Can you try hard to achieve carelessness? The very act of pursuing it deliberately contradicts the goal.
It's a mental finger trap. Brilliant and infuriating.
Definitely frustrating. Okay, finally, category 4th. This one feels very relevant today. The scientific babble-conmookery.
Ah, yes, using science-y sounding words to trick people.
Exactly. It leverages our, general respect for scientific authority, but it does it by just making up incredibly specific, complex-sounding jargon that means absolutely nothing. It builds a total facade of intellectualism.
And the examples were just gold. First one, the entropoetical mutation of a subcontrary kangaroo.
I mean, entropoetical, mixing entropy from physics with poetry, and then subcontrary, like under a shell.
Yeah.
A kangaroo under a shell.
Is just throwing darts at a dictionary of obscure and made-up terms. Who clicks on that?
Maybe the armchair intellectual, someone who wants to feel like they're grasping some really deep interdisciplinary concept, even if it's complete gibberish.
Okay. And the other one for the DIY tech crowd.
Yeah.
How to fabricate a dodecahedral photodetector from Platy.
Right. Dodecahedron, that's a complex geometric shape. Photodetector advanced electronics. And you're going to make it from Platy.
A type of common aquarium fish.
It's peak absurdity. The paper says this induces intellectual travail that leads to nothing. You spend mental energy trying to process instructions that are fundamentally impossible and nonsensical.
So we've journeyed through this, frankly, bizarre academic landscape analyzing online emptiness.
Yeah.
If we try to sort of pull it all together, what's the big takeaway from this deep dive?
Well, I think the central thesis running through both papers is pretty stark. Clickbait isn't just annoying, it's what they call a linguistic anachronism, something out of step with meaningful communication.
A pseudo-fictional praxis.
Right, a practical method for creating falsity. Its only reason for existing is to generate that shallow click, that perfunctory interaction, and where does it lead? To a fugacious teleological non sequitur.
Okay, fugacious dot fleeting, teleological dot end goal. Non sequitur doesn't follow. So, a quick disappearing promise that results in something totally unrelated or empty.
Exactly, a fleeting sense of purpose that just vanishes into nothing. They see it as the ultimate example of the entropoetical mutation of the whole digital sphere information decaying into chaotic meaninglessness.
And they really emphasize the user's role in all this, don't they? It's almost tragic.
It is. The user, the person clicking, is sometimes described as a zootropic apparatchik.
Like an animal-like cog in the machine. An automaton.
Yeah. Someone who becomes this willing participant in their own intellectual dissolution. You get drawn into what they term a teleological limerence.
Limerence is like an obsessive infatuation, so an obsessive desire for an endpoint, a conclusion.
An endpoint that the clickbait was never designed to deliver. You're chasing a conclusion that fundamentally isn't there.
Which leads to their final kind of philosophical punchline about truth itself in this digital age.
Yeah, it's quite a statement. They basically say that the truth, if there is one, is a wabbit that we are all irrefragably chasing.
A wabbit, like Elmer Fudd chasing Bugs Bunny. A truth that's constantly, undeniably tricking us and getting away.
That seems to be the image, yeah. It forces you, the listener, to really think. What does it mean when so much of our online world operates on this promise of victuals, of nourishment, of substance?
But what it actually serves up is just a sarcophagist's feast.
A feast of empty remains, yeah. Something to chew on, definitely.
So maybe next time you feel that little twitch, that pull towards a headline promising the unbelievable, remember the xenophobia fartle, you're probably not driven by curiosity, but by an anxiety the headline itself created. Are you going to pay that emotional debt just to be fed? Well, a simulacrum. What happens when the multicharade measures your nascent nescience next time?